welcome to the deep dive. Today, we're tackling something, well, pretty ambitious. It's a blueprint called the Paradise Reciprocity Economic Framework, or PREF for short.
Yeah, it's definitely ambitious. This isn't just theory. It's laid out as a potential architecture. It claims it can actually resolve that age-old conflict between capitalism and socialism.
Right, not by finding some middle ground, but by actually synthesizing their strongest parts, or so they claim.
Exactly. The sources describe it as aiming for a positive-sum collaboration. It's all geared towards what they call the greater good. They even have notation for it. The happiness zone, plus woo, and the blissful zone, plus woo.
Okay, let's pause on that notation for a second, because it seems pretty central. Upsilon, that's the moral vector, like societal and environmental benefit.
Correct. And psi, that's about collective joy and freedom, well-being, essentially.
So plus means aiming high on both ethics and actual happiness.
Got it. And this whole thing rests on a couple of big philosophical ideas. Two main ones, yeah. First, the economy isn't linear extraction. It's an economic circuit, a closed loop. What goes in cycles back responsibly. That's a big shift.
Okay, a closed loop. And the second...
The goal isn't just growth. It's the calculus of bliss. I mean, it sounds a bit lofty, but the idea is to actually engineer the system mathematically to maximize that collective joy and moral good.
So designing for happiness, not just output. That's the frame we need to keep in mind as we dig in.
Absolutely. And it takes us straight to the human element. Because, the first big question is always, how do you give people security without killing motivation? The classic UBI problem.
Yeah, if your basics are covered, why bother contributing? How does PREF handle that?
Through a two-part system they call the Paradosis Systema. It's their attempt to synthesize the socialist safety net with, let's say, a capitalist-style merit system.
Okay, break that down. What's the safety net part?
That's the Foundational Dividend, FD. It's a genuine, unconditional universal basic income, paid in regular currency, and the sources are really clear. Its only job is survival and freedom from desperation. Nothing else affects it.
Unconditional. Got it. So that covers basic needs. What about the motivation side?
That's the Civic Merit System, CMS. This is where it gets really interesting. It's essentially a reputation economy that, well, gamifies doing good things for society.
Gamifies pro-social acts. How does that work in practice? Is everyone tracked?
No, and this is crucial. It's strictly opt-in, completely voluntary. There's no big brother watching you unless you choose to submit your actions, your deeds, for verification to earn merit.
So you can just live on the foundational dividend if you want.
You absolutely can, but you miss out on the benefits that come from participating in the CMS.
Ah, okay. And those benefits are tied to this currency, Civic Merit, CM.
Exactly. And CM has this dual function. Yes, part of it can be converted to cash, so good deeds can lead to more wealth. But the real kicker, the main value, is the second function, exclusive access and opportunity.
Access to what?
This is where the merit part really bites. You need CM to apply for things like stewardship charters, basically licenses to run key public services, or to get into priority apprenticeships with top experts, even for things like getting selected for the Citizens' Assembly.
So CM becomes a currency of, like, social and professional opportunity. It's how you advance within the system.
Precisely. It fundamentally changes what success means. It's tied directly to your verifiable positive impact.
Okay, but wait. If CM gives you access to all the good stuff, doesn't that just create a new elite? A meritocracy elite instead of a wealth elite? How do they stop that from becoming rigid?
That's a fair question. The framework tries to handle that with transparency and how merit is structured. It's not about one big achievement. Merit is earned through specific, scalable civic titles.
Titles? Like what?
Think like Archivist level 50 or maybe Community Mediator level 10. These titles reflect verifiable impact and scale, and they generate a passive trickle of CM, so it's granular.
Okay, granular titles. But what about cheating the system? If CM is so valuable, people will try to game it.
They anticipate that. The main deterrent isn't a fine because rich people can just pay fines. It's what they call the losing your save game penalty.
Losing your save game, like in a video game.
Pretty much. If you commit moral fraud, falsifying impact, trading merit illicitly, the punishment is a systemic profile reset.
Meaning what exactly?
Meaning you have to repay everything you gained fraudulently, your entire tower of titles collapses to zero, and you get a public red class designation. It's designed to be so devastating that fraud becomes mathematically irrational.
Wow, it's intense. A public red class designation. How do they prevent that from being used politically to punish dissenters?
The argument is that the verification is decentralized and evidence-based, so proving fraud should be objective, not based on opinion. The sheer cost of getting caught is meant to be the primary check.
And if you do hit rock bottom, get that criminal class label, is there a way back?
Yes, there's a reformation pathway. It involves restorative labor, often in areas related to the harm caused, working within public works guilds. Completing it removes the class label, but your profile stays reset. You have to rebuild your reputation from scratch.
So high stakes, but redemption is possible. It really is a reputation-based economy at its core.
And that personal reputation system feeds directly into how they handle businesses, the hegemonic incentive structure.
Right, shifting from individual behavior to corporate behavior. How do they steer companies?
Instead of just rules and fines, businesses are rated with a hegemonic score, or H score. It heavily weighs their moral vector, things like wage gaps, environmental footprint, ethical sourcing, the whole picture.
And what happens based on that H score?
It's all about incentives. High H-score companies, the ones aligned with the greater good, get big rewards. Things like vector-aligned capital grants, which are basically free capital injections.
Non-repayable grants.
Yeah.
Seriously.
Yes. And moral tax credits, which can actually result in negative tax rates. They get paid for being highly aligned.
So it's cheaper, even profitable, to be ethical. But if the government is handing out huge grants, we're back to the funding question. How does the state pay for the foundational dividend if it's giving away money and cutting taxes?
This is the core of the self-funding loop. The government basically becomes a massive venture capitalist for the people.
How so?
When a company gets one of those big capital grants, the government takes an equivalent equity stake in that company.
So the state builds up ownership across all these successful high H-score businesses.
Exactly. And the return on investment, ROI, from this enormous diversified portfolio of ethically aligned companies becomes the main source of government revenue. That ROI is what directly funds a foundational dividend.
Okay, that closes the circuit. Welfare isn't funded by taxing current workers. It's funded by the profits of past successful ethical investments. That decouples basic security from the ups and downs of the tax base.
Creates a lot more stability, in theory.
Before we get to governance, there was something about knowledge transfer, the knowledge inheritance protocol.
Right. That's about ensuring expertise isn't lost. When experts retire, they can become an emeritus master. They create a living archive of their knowledge and mentor apprentices.
And the apprentices get.
They get a starting title in that field and a merit multiplier on future CM they earn. Gives them a leg up.
A head start, but there's a catch, I bet.
There is. Relevance decay. The multiplier fades over time. So you get the boost, but you can't just ride your master's coattails forever. You have to innovate yourself to keep the full benefit. Keeps things moving forward.
Smart. Okay, so now, governance. They call it no more bullshit democracy, which is blunt.
Yes, it is. The goal is stripping partisanship and spin out of making laws. It relies on a strict two-stage analysis for any proposed law.
2 stages. What's stage 1?
Stage 1, the truth engine. This is an independent body. Its only job is establishing the objective facts, what the law does, the verifiable pros, cons, costs, just the evidence, no spin.
A baseline of truth everyone has to work from. And stage 2.
Stage 2, the Hegemonic Analysis Bureau. They take the facts from the truth engine and calculate the law's likely true intent vector. Does it actually move things towards the greater good? What are the real, deeper impacts on society's well-being and ethics?
So what do elected officials do then, if these bureaus do the analysis?
Their role changes completely. The officials, called shepherds, don't vote on the laws. Their job is to propose policies, ask questions, and feed issues into the truth engine based on what the public needs. They're conduits, not decision-makers in the old sense.
Governance is information processing, not power brokering. Wow.
And because the government funds itself through that ROI portfolio we talked about...
Taxation changes completely.
Exactly. It's not needed for funding the state anymore. So its only purpose becomes behavioral shaping.
Which means they can get rid of.
Personal income tax. Gone. Standard corporate income tax, at least for high H-score companies. Gone. GST or VAT. Gone.
So what taxes are left?
The main tool is the disincentivizing tax, also called corporate externality redirection. It's targeted specifically at products or services with hidden social costs, think pollution, public health issues, things with a dual vector.
How does that work without invading consumer privacy, tracking purchases?
It cleverly puts the burden on the company making the profit, not the consumer. The tax rate isn't fixed. It's adjusted dynamically by something called the social vector modifier, SVM.
Okay, SVM. How's that calculated? Does the government just decide?
No, this loops back to the Civic Merit System again. The government calculates the objective calculated social cost, CSC, of an industry's negative impacts. That's one part.
The downside.
Right. But the other part is the calculated social benefit, CSB. And where does that number come from?
Let me guess. The public. Through the CMS.
You got it. It's generated by all the positive, verifiable interactions the public has with that industry within the CMS. Positive reviews, people earning relevant titles like maybe sustainable farmer or ethical retailer, that generates the CSB.
So the SVM is CSB divided by CSC. Benefit over cost.
Precisely. If the industry behaves well, the public engagement creates a high CSB, the SVM is high, and the tax rate drops dramatically. If the industry turns predatory or harmful, public engagement plummets. The CSB crashes, the SVM tanks, and the tax rate skyrockets.
They literally have to earn their low tax rate, their social license, from the public in real time. It's incredibly dynamic.
Makes being unethical, financially unpredictable, and potentially ruinous. Forces alignment.
Okay, zooming out now. How does this PREF model look at the rest of the world? Geopolitics.
It's managed by a diplomatic guild, and relations are based entirely on the global H score of other nations, basically judging nations by their vector.
How does that play out?
With nations that also have a high positive vector, it's symmetric reciprocity. Deep integration, open borders, sharing knowledge, actively helping them reduce inequality. True partnership.
And with nations deemed negative vector.
It's asymmetric containment, strict limits on engagement, refusing trade in critical resources, containing negative influence rather than trying to fight it directly.
And defense, if they're not engaging aggressively.
Managed by the Research and Defense Guild. The focus shifts heavily to information superiority. The truth engine makes the nation hard to deceive internally. For external threats, they ditch the traditional military model.
For what?
Overwhelming technological advantage. The core is the drone network doctrine.
Drones.
A massive, decentralized, autonomous national drone network. Critically, it's dual use. In peacetime, it's handling high-speed logistics, deliveries, infrastructure monitoring. Super efficient.
Okay. And in wartime?
It instantly flips to defense mode. Specialized drone swarms can deploy almost instantly, creating things like kinetic aerial minefields. The idea is an overwhelming asymmetric advantage that makes attacking unthinkable.
So deterrence through near-certain, immediate, technologically superior retaliation. But they state this is only for defense.
Constitutionally mandated. It's purely defensive deterrence. Aggression is disallowed.
All right, this is heading towards a global vision. What are the final stages proposed?
2 key structures. First, the Economic Merger Oversight Model, EMOM. This provides a formal path for nations already using the PREF framework to merge their economies.
Pool their resources.
Pool sovereignty, essentially, under a joint economic oversight council. They can fund massive global projects together aimed at lifting everyone up.
And the ultimate endpoint.
That's called MAD-GAUD, Mutually Assured Destruction Global Organization Doctrine.
MAD-GAUD. That sounds ominous, especially after all the positive sum talk.
It's deliberately provocative, I think, but the mutually assured destruction here is purely economic, not nuclear.
Yeah, economic.
The level of integration achieved through EMOM shared knowledge, merged capital, inseparable supply chains becomes so deep that if any member nation tried to betray the system, start a war, steal resources, it would instantly trigger its own catastrophic economic collapse.
Because pulling out or attacking would sever the economic ties that keep its own system alive.
Exactly. It makes betrayal economically suicidal.
Wow.
It's presented as the ultimate guarantee of peace, built not just on trust, but on inescapable rational self-interest.
Shared prosperity secured by shared vulnerability.
And to keep that focused outwards, they add a final metric, the generosity index to the global H score. It measures how actively a bloc helps uplift less developed partners. Generosity itself becomes a key performance indicator.
Okay, so wrapping this up. The PREF model is this incredibly integrated system. Foundational Dividend for security, the CMS and H score for incentivizing contribution and ethical behavior.
Replacing traditional taxes with ROI from government equity, using things like the SVM to dynamically shape corporate behavior.
And extending that logic, transparency, and rational self-interest right up to global governance and defense, it really tries to make negative action structurally or mathematically irrational at every level.
Making deception incredibly hard with the truth engine, and attack incredibly costly with the drone network doctrine.
Which leads us to that final thought for you, the listener. If a system could be designed to generate so much surplus, align behavior so effectively, and enforce such radical transparency, could that final step, systemic economic self-destruction, the MED-Gaioti idea, actually be the most reliable way to guarantee peace? Is rational self-preservation, built into the economic code itself, ultimately a stronger force that appeals to abstract morality alone? Something to think about.